Good afternoon, everyone. I call to order the Orleans Parish School Board Business Meeting for today, October 17, 2019. Time now is 5:30. May I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Ashley,
Present.
Mr. Brown,
Here.
Ms. Ellison,
Here.
Mr. Cleveland,
Here.
Mr. Koppel,
Present.
Mr. Marshall, Ms. Newell Houston.
Here.
Also present are Dr. Henderson Lewis Jr. and Sharonda Williams, Board Counsel. We have a quorum.
Okay. I'd like to remind everyone we have interpretation services are available during today's meeting. Yield to the interpreters.
Hola, hoy tenemos servicios en español. Si son necesarios, pueden ir atrás para recibir un aparato.
Xin chào toàn thể quý vị, tôi tên là Việt, tôi là thông dịch viên. Nếu quý vị cần thông dịch xin cho tôi biết. Tôi ngồi ở phía dưới và tôi sẽ giúp quý vị. Xin cảm ơn.
Okay, thank you very much. The Pledge of Allegiance being led today by the finalists of the Attendance Awareness Campaign Art Contest, and specifically Emile from Lycée Francois. And we also have of the Hines students here. Come forward. Okay. Okay. Everyone, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you, Hines students. And I guess I don't know if the superintendent's going to recognize the finalists of the Attendance Aware campaign. Okay, he will be doing that. I don't want to take your thunder, the superintendent. Also, we want to just inform everyone we have a special treat tonight, the Frederick Douglass Choir under the musical artist Akeem. Okay.
You're broken down and tired of living life on a merry-go-round, and you can't find the pilot, but I see it in you, so we can walk it out and move mountains. We can walk it out and and I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day, I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. And we'll rise up high like the silence isn't quiet. And it feels like it's getting hard to breathe. And I know you feel like dying. But I promise we'll take the world to its feet and move mountains. Bring it to its feet and move mountains. And I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day, I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. And I'll rise up, high like the waves, I'll rise up, in spite of the ache, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you. All we need is hope. And for that we have each other. And for that we have each other. Hey, we will rise, we will rise, we rise. Whoa, we'll rise. Rise like the day, I'll rise up. In spite of the ache, I will rise 1,000 times again. And we'll rise up, high like the waves, we'll rise up. In spite of the ache, we'll rise up. And we'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, 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 for you,
Don't you talk. Don't you talk. Don't say nothing. Thank you all so much for that entertainment. We have such great talent in this school district. It is really nice, really, really nice to have them. I think we have the Douglas leadership, some of our leadership. Will you stand and just be recognized? Yes. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Akeem. Oh, okay. Are there any other Douglas graduates in the audience? No? Huh? They are? What's, yeah. I think Miss Ellison knew that. Yeah. Thank you all again so much. Okay, moving right on. Adoption of the agenda. Do we have any additions, deletions, or modifications? Hearing none, I have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, the motion carries. Adoption of the minutes. Do we have any additions, deletions, or modifications to the minutes?
Move for adoption of the minutes and waive the reading.
We do have a motion. Did we get a second?
Second.
We do have a second. It's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any oppositions? Hearing none. Thank you. Moving on to the superintendent's agenda.
Yes, thank you, Board President Brown, and good evening, everyone. The greatness of a community is most accurately measured by the compassionate actions of its members. This was once said by Coretta Scott King. Last month, when I started my superintendent's report, I started talking about one of our schools, which was Carver. And I shared with everyone in the room last month about the 3 tragic losses that took place and how it was such a hard summer and beginning of a school year for our Carver Community and Collegiate Academies. This week as well, we had another 11th grader shot outside of the school. So again, this has been a very challenging time for our community and especially our Carver family. As a school system, we have been in touch and have worked along with the school to support them during this very, very tough time. The Office of Youth and Families from the Mayor's Office has also been working with our collegiate family as well. As I said before, it is up to all of us to teach our youth how to engage with one another in a peaceful, tolerant, and respectful manner. And as a school system, even as I was sharing with the Office of Youth and Family Services, that we have to figure out how to support our young people, because this is not violence that is happening in a particular school because kids can't get along in this particular school. But this is happening in the community. And again, when I talk about 3 tragic losses and another shooting that happened this week, they all are members of the class of 2021. So even that group of students, imagine that when you were in high school, your classmates, all these young people and all young men were part of the same class. And so as a school system, our thoughts and prayers continue to be with their families as well as the Carver community, and we're going to ask each and every one of you to remember them during this very, very tough time. And even as we think of our city, right now we know this past weekend with the collapse of the construction project, again, we have families that are hurting. We have families that are going through. Tiffany Delcoy and myself on Sunday actually was at the site with the city of New Orleans. Of course, we gave information because we thought we were going to have traffic issues because of streets being closed. But again, as I talk about our community, the compassion I saw, of course, we had the first responders there, NOPD, the fire department, EMS, you had volunteers, you had local businesses there, you had clergy there. And Tiffany can tell you, just to be in that environment was such a sad place to be. And so we're going to ask everyone to continue, as we think of our community, this New Orleans community, that we continue to keep our family in our thoughts and in our prayers. And even the month of October, every single year here in our district, we support the Susan G. Komen Race for a Cure, which is going to be this weekend. We know whether it's one of our board members, we have employees in the district that have all had this battle of breast cancer. I think we all have family members that have either gone through it or still going through it and here today as survivors. And so as a school district, I really want to thank Angela Pierre and Kathy Tony Chase for leading the effort here in our district to support this race on Saturday. It's very, very important. And as you see, myself and board members have pink on today, supporting breast cancer awareness here in our district. Last week, We participated in the UNCF walk run. We had employees at our last staff meeting talked about if it wasn't for UNCF, they would not be the professionals they are today because it allowed them to finish their education. In New Orleans, we celebrate 60% of our students are going on to college. Many of our students, as they're going on to college, they're receiving TOPS and they're receiving other scholarship opportunities. And so as a school system, I thank Kathy, Tony Chase, and Angela Pierre again for putting a team together as a district. Last weekend, we went out together to support the UNCF. We know we have Dillard University here in the city of New Orleans, as well as Xavier University. So we were proud sponsors and partners in those events last weekend. So a lot is going on, and as a community, we are definitely, NOLA Public Schools is definitely dedicated in supporting our community in every which way that we possibly can. This particular week is National School Lunch Week. 30 million children across the country every single day are receiving meals by coming to school. For many of our students, we know that this is the only nutritious meal that they may receive. So it's very, very important that as a school system, we provide our students nutritious options. So this year's theme for National Lunch Week is what's on your playlist. We all have our iPhones, or if you have an Android, we all have them. But you have your playlist. These are things that you want to listen to. Many of us can remember our days in school where you didn't have an option what was on that plate. You're gonna have to take everything that was being offered for that particular day. Well, today, we are able to give students options. It still has to be a balanced meal, but they're able to pick this over that. And so again, we want kids to be happy about eating the meals that they receive at our schools. Board member Ashley and Ellison had the opportunity earlier this week to actually visit our schools and also interact with our employees. We have 13 schools here in the city of New Orleans that we provide child nutrition services for. And this board last school year, if you can recall, increased the minimum wage for our cafeteria nutrition professionals to $15 per hour. And this year, our governor gave a pay raise to our teachers, but also he gave a pay raise to support personnel. So last year, this board gave the pay raise, which was $15 per hour, but this year, those individuals are also receiving an additional $500 thanks to our governor. And so tonight, I want to just turn to Board Member Ellison and also Board Member Ashley to see if you have anything you want to share about your visit and your time with our students and our employees for School Lunch Week.
Well, thank you so much, Superintendent. I just want to acknowledge how much of a pleasure it is to be able to see our young people in the line. If you've never been in a lunch line, I actually, I was really suited up and had the whole full chef thing going on. And many of the young people were very clear, like, you're new. And I was like, yes, I am. I'm very new. And they proceeded to tell me how I was messing up in certain spaces and not giving enough chili in other spaces. But I was there the full time. And the greatest thing was when the young people, when I was done, they would come invite me to come and sit and eat and talk. And that experience coupled with our professionals our cafeteria professionals and nutritionists spend a lot of time and labor and love making sure that our young people are not just receiving the right type of foods, but also the right type of energy, the right type of love. And I got corrected about, that more than anything. Just make sure you see Jimmy and he's going to run in here and he's not going to take anything, but know that he's going to, and it was moments like that made it really impactful for me through my experience. And I know, Vice President, I know you probably got similar experiences, but I will tell you, if you've never had the opportunity to serve our young people, I would ask that you please take that opportunity to do so. It is a humbling experience. Our young people really, really look to us and our lunch professionals for support and hope and love. And they talk about Nord football. Our CEO of Nord is here, so I want to make sure I acknowledge it, Larry Barabino. The lunch ladies take it very serious about who plays for the Nord Parks and so on and so forth. That is talked about during lunch as well, so please know that it is a full community effort in that space. So it was a great opportunity, and I'm so glad, and I look forward to being able to do it again next year.
So I just want to echo some of the things that my colleague mentioned. My hats goes up. I appreciate and thankful for the food services professionals, seeing them serve and making sure, as he said, there are certain students they'll point out and say, put a little bit more on that plate for that child. And I was like, oh, I get it. So it was really, and the food was really good, y'all. I had to say that. It was really good. So it was a pleasure being with our food services professionals, as well as with our students, being able to talk to our students. One thing that some of our students did say is they want to extend the lunch period. And I was like, for how long? And they were like, maybe 2 hours. It'll give us time to have some time with our friends, as well as eat and all of that good stuff. But it was a pleasure serving our students today and working alongside with our cafeteria workers. So we appreciate them. We thank them for their service of love and all that they do for our children. And I know y'all can attest to the workers in y'all cafeteria, correct? Yeah. Yes? Yes. So again, it was a pleasure being with them today. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Ellison, as well as Mr. Ashley. And again, board members, as time permits and you're able to actually visit school and serve lunch, our kids and families would love to have you. I will be at one of our schools tomorrow in honor of School Lunch Weeks. And I would like to thank, is Ms. Jackson still in the room? Ms. Rosie Jackson, who runs a fabulous department, her entire team, for their extraordinary effort every single day. Tiffany, who supervises our child nutrition program, thank you as well. And I look forward tomorrow to visiting and interacting with our students and our employees.
Let's thank them, even though they're not here, but they'll make you see the film. Thank you so much.
The next thing on my agenda actually touches upon our growing population of our English learners here in the city of New Orleans. When our test scores came out, we did share that we have done better on the state data for both growth as well as mastery with our English learners. However, we have to continue to do better. And to continue to advance the equity for all of our students, which is a goal of our school board, we have a working group that will set out to address academics, communication, socio-emotional, cultural support, and legal access for our English learners. I would like to acknowledge Mayor Moran, who is not here today, from our voice, for her leadership as we continue to improve the services that we provide to our English learners. At a few meetings ago, I discussed Renew Accelerated and how we will transition to a new operator, and we've gone through a transformational siting process. And this evening, I would like to announce that the Net Charter School of Educators for Quality Alternative will be taking over Renew Accelerated. The Net operates several quality alternative schools in New Orleans, including the Net Central City, the Net Gentilly, and our new middle school, which is the Bridge. And so this will be another program that will be added to their portfolio. And if you're following that, you also know, as we continue to talk about community, they have the Nest, which is a place for daycare for our young people who also have children so that they can continue their education. And so we're very proud of the work that's happening at the Net. I'm very proud that Renew Accelerate will transition over to the Net next year. This month is also National Juvenile Justice Month. Last year, our board created a Juvenile Justice Week via resolution. Juvenile Justice Week will take place on October 21st through the 25th, which is next week. Our strategy here in the district is to reduce our children's involvement in the justice system. Christina Kent on our team as well. Is she here this evening? Christina, stand up, please. She does a fabulous job day in and day out in the school district. making sure that she's advocating on behalf of our district for our young people. Of course, we're very proud of the pay ordinance that has stopped having kids being arrested at school that we saw so much in previous years. Also, through juvenile justice, the work that we continue to do at Travis Hill. Was it last week? All my days run together. Last week, I had the opportunity to take some of the members of my my community advisory committee to the Orleans Justice Center to actually tour the educational program. And as they were able to see the program, they were also had the ability to interact with our students. And one student I love to highlight, he actually graduated from our program at Travis Hill, still incarcerated, and he initially started just tutoring the other students, but now this young man is actually serving as a teacher assistant to help the other young people who are attending the school at Travis Hill to receive and prepare for their high school diploma. And so I told him I would shout him out because we're very proud of what he's doing, because he had a choice. He has his high school diploma. He could have said that I've done my part. I'm not going to participate in this. This is on my former classmates. But he decided that he was going to serve as a teacher aide to help the other young people in that program. And so I would like to yield to Board Member Cleveland and Ashley, because they were the authors of the resolution last year that actually established this week that we continue and will continue to celebrate from this point forward.
Thank you, Superintendent. So we're going to tag team this just to talk about the seriousness of this particular issue. This is an annual thing that we want to make sure that we talk about consistently. Many of you all know that I started my career doing work around criminal justice reform, particularly around young people. I used to run a literacy program at our Youth Study Center, and I actually sit on the board of the National Juvenile Justice Network. And so when I came to my colleague and my colleagues, many of them supported wholeheartedly this resolution. And so I'm really, really thankful that we get a chance to do this again. Now, we don't have to pass another resolution, but it is important for us to talk this year about our second annual week, which is Juvenile Justice Week, which is going to take place October 21st through the 25th. And many of you all know this is super important to us, largely because this district is committed to ensuring that all of our young people, incarcerated or not, dealing with the system or not, all of our young people are able to get what they need from our system to be successful. And equity is at the root of all what we do. And so, you know, I want to acknowledge that many of you all probably aren't aware, but black children and more particularly black boys are disproportionately represented in our juvenile justice system. In Q2 of 2019, 96% of children arrested in New Orleans were black, and 86% of those children were black boys. Now, NOLA Public Schools, we've been doing a lot of work to ensure that that is not the case, and we are going to continue to reform and make sure that our young people find themselves in classrooms and not in cages. And that's what is really important to us. And we're working with our cities and partners, and I see our good friend Joe Geruso from the City Council in the back, and I know how important this is to the City Council and the Mayor's office. And so I just want to acknowledge you, my friend, and say thank you for the work that you continue to do on behalf of us here as well. Now, I'll kick it to my friend and my colleague, Ben Cleveland, to finish this up.
I'll be brief. I know sometimes the weeks and the months devoted to certain causes can come across maybe as overly ceremonial or what's the real impact. I think I wanted to start by saying there has been real impact. That last year, citywide, we saw the lowest rate of school-based arrests as long as we've been tracking it. So not to say that's all just because of this week. This is obviously a community-wide effort, but raising awareness to the issue is important. Tracking the data and reporting it to our schools is important, which the district has been doing. And we are going to continue to fight for this cause until there are no school-based arrests and until there is true equity and justice for our young people, and that we support them to succeed and not just punish our way out of the problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Cleveland and Board Member Ashley. In addition to juvenile justice and not having our students to interact with the justice system, we also want our students to be in school. And so Last month, we started our attendance awareness campaign, and you know it's strive for less than 5 absences. And we do know that when students, whether they have the flu and missing many days from school, disconnected to our school system and in and out, all those things prevent them from actually receiving the best possible education. So we want our kids to be healthy, and also we want our students to be engaged in our school system so they can come to school every single day. The school support team conducted a citywide contest. I think it was a poster as well as a video contest. These students are from all over the city, and they were engaged to tell why attendance was so important. So I'd like to turn it over right now to Ashley Gothard to present the results of the contest. Ashley?
Good evening, Superintendent Lewis, and also members of the board. I do want to say thank you again for making this a priority among the district to make sure that our students are in school. This year, for our poster and video contest, we had over 60 students submit videos and posters, and over 15 of our schools participated, so we do want to recognize them today, and some of them are here. For third place for our poster contest, she is out of school this week because she has the flu, so she was not able to come. But we do want to recognize her. Azan Michelle from Elon Academy did receive third place, but she is ill today. In second place for the poster contest is Sadie Mihawk, who goes to Bricolage Academy. Come on. And we have a certificate for you. And also you can get your poster too. And also in second place, we had a tie. We have Emile from Lycée Francais, and he has his poster with him. In first place, we have Keely Severin, who was not able to be here today because Bethune is on fall break. But I just want to say, y'all, she was super bummed she could not come get us. And also for our individual submission winner for outstanding performance, we have Parker J., who was not able to be here as well. And for outstanding group performance, we have Alexandra Grant, Marta, Ava, Lily, and Brandon. And they all attend Edward Hines. And then for outstanding classroom video performance was the 4th and 6th grade theater class for Bethune, who was also out today for fall break. I want to say thank you again for all of our students for coming and participating.
Good evening, members of the board and Superintendent Lewis. We are really excited to have our partners here with us from New Schools for New Orleans. On Tuesday at the Accountability and Charters Committee, we were able to provide a presentation about our efforts to address our talent pipeline and some of the talent pipeline issues that we've had in the city, and we truly thank them for their work. I'm going to turn it over to Dina Hasiotis while her team works directly with them and making sure that we're addressing our talent pipeline.
Good evening, board members. I will speak briefly and then turn it over to our friends from NSNO to talk about the work they've led over the past year in this. But I will say the School Support and Improvement Team is a new team that emerged last year around how we can, in our unique role, support our schools and ensure, and we've really focused on ensuring they have access to tools, resources, and opportunities to improve their impact with students. And in that space, talent is core, making sure that they have the best teachers and the best teams in every building to support students and families. And I've enjoyed, over this past year, working very closely with Mr. Alex Durrell, who will be here to speak about the work and the research that NSNO spearheaded last year on understanding our current teacher landscape, the needs, the strengths, and the challenges, which has helped them build a strong strategy, which is also in turn helping us build a strong strategy as we think about our role and how we want to make sure, as there's many partners in the field doing work, that we don't duplicate but leverage their resources and then think about what we need to build internally or what other external partnerships we need to continue to support our schools. So want to invite Alex up to share some of their research and plans, and look forward to the presentation.
Good evening, everyone, board members, Dr. Lewis. Really excited to be here, and thank you, Ms. Hasiotis and Ms. Aiken, for introducing me. I appreciate that. Over the past year, my name is Alex Durrell, and I work at New Schools for New Orleans. And over the past year, I've been leading the talent team over with NSNO. And specifically, we've been really focusing in on, from a citywide perspective, how can we help our teachers? And so today, for the next 6 or 7 minutes, I want to really drive home 3 points. Hopefully this clicker will, oh, there we go, right here. First is that our teachers need help. We're facing a talent crisis across the city. Second is that this crisis is threatening student achievement. We're not going to be able to build great schools if this crisis continues. And third, we have a plan that can be in place and have immediate impact for this current school year, 2019 to 2020. And so I think the best way to start is just this really fantastic and simple study from the University of Tennessee. There you go. All they did was they took 2 cohorts of 3rd graders, same demographics, same achievement levels. The only thing that they did different with those groups was that one group was placed with high-performing teachers for 3 years, and another group was placed with low-performing teachers for 3 years. The results were staggering. After just 3 years in that state math assessment, the group that was with the high-performing teachers was at the 96th percentile. The group that was with the lower-performing teachers was at the 44th percentile. And so the author of the study, Dr. Sanders, said that if we just could focus in on making sure that every school had a great teacher, nothing would impact student achievement more. And so that leads us exactly to the problem that we're facing today and that Ms. Aiken drove home on Tuesday in the committee meeting. You see, in New Orleans, we're losing too many of our great teachers. Like other urban cities across the country, New York, DC, Houston, we have a real problem. In fact, here in New Orleans, we lost 29% of our teaching profession this past year. That's over 900 teachers. And we can't struggle to find 900 people to fill those 900 spots, let alone try to find 900 high-performing people. And so nationally, what we've seen is that the teacher preparation programs that are bringing teachers into our districts, their applications are plummeting. The economy is robust. Teaching is not seen as a admirable profession. Locally, we've got some challenges too. We are seeing that there isn't that much collaboration among schools around talent here in the city. Our students have higher needs. And the starting teaching salaries across the city are no longer competitive compared to other districts. Lastly, after this year, we don't have any funding devoted to our teacher pipeline or teacher preparation programs that are bringing teachers into the city. And so at New Schools for New Orleans this past year, our team went deep into this challenge. What's going on here? We surveyed over 1,500 public school teachers. We combed through all the Louisiana workforce data. We had in-depth interviews with teachers on Dr. Lewis's advisory council. And what we found loud and clear was that they need help and that they would love to have support both on like culture and what's happening inside the school, and that's to your point, Mr. Marshall, but they also need compensation as well. And so at New Schools for New Orleans right now, and working very closely with Ms. Hasiotis and the district, we've come up with an integrated plan to actually make a difference. First, we have to lower teacher attrition by improving teacher satisfaction. 2, we need to protect and diversify our teacher pipeline program. And 3, we need to keep bringing in experienced teachers, teachers who have local roots, teachers who have results into our district. And so looking at each of these things, of course, a lot of this work needs to happen and should happen and continue to happen inside the schools. But we have a responsibility, people in this room, that we can actually help our schools and our teachers on these 3 very things from a citywide perspective. So strategy number 1, lowering our teacher attrition. Currently, what we're seeing is that schools are struggling, and that oftentimes there are teachers like across the country that are feeling unsupported. And so we've got 4 solutions that are going into place this year. First, we're bringing resources to schools by funding a robust teacher survey that's been developed by TNTP and is being used by schools across the country. And so this survey, those results are kept private with each school, but those principals can now pinpoint exactly how teachers are feeling, what's going on in their school, and come up with action steps to make sure that they're feeling valued and supported and that they're staying in the school. 2, what we've learned is that we needed to create a community to make sure that this collaboration is happening around talent. And so we have a community that meets once a month with every talent lead at every CMO across the city. Every single CMO with 3 schools or more is participating. This is where they can share best practices, problem solve, and help each other out. Third, what we're doing is we needed to bring resources, particularly to our single sites. And so we partnered with a third-party vendor and got the best resources around talent to help our schools. And this December, we're really proud to be partnering with NOLA Public Schools on a convening to making sure that those resources get to school leaders and so that they can implement them to help with teacher recruitment and teacher retention. And lastly, just like we studied teachers over this past year and why they're leaving, we're doing the same exact thing for leaders. And so this spring, we're excited to have a plan and a strategy to help support them so that they can help support their teachers. And so again, like to Mr. Marshall, your point on Tuesday, absolutely loud and clear, these things inside the school, within schools' control, will have a profound impact on keeping teachers in schools. And it's not an either or. We also have to find a way to get them extra compensation that reflects the work that they do. You guys understand, of course, the millage that happened in Jefferson Parish. With that $3,000 increase, the starting salary in Jefferson Parish is now $3,000 higher than the average starting salary of a New Orleans public school teacher. Second, what we also need to do is we have to protect and grow our teacher pipeline, those teacher preparation programs. And this is what I really want to flag for the board. I didn't fully understand it when I came to New Schools for New Orleans this past year. But our teacher preparation programs, post-Katrina, have been funded by philanthropy and most recently by a federal grant. And this is that grant that supported Xavier University, who's been headlining it and has built that teacher residency program. And those 5 teacher preparation programs, led by Xavier University, is bringing in over 250 teachers into our city. The majority of those teachers are teachers of color and have ties to New Orleans. That funding that supports those preparation programs is ending. Typically, a centralized district sometimes jumps in and helps out by subsidizing or supporting those teacher preparation programs for their schools. And so I know Ms. Aiken mentioned on Tuesday about the system-wide needs program, and potentially that could be a possibility to help protect the pipeline and make sure that it's growing and that we're diversifying it. You see on that second point, what we've done over this past year is we've been lucky enough to partner with the University of New Orleans that has hundreds of education students who are going to other districts. And so now what we're doing is just this year, we have 100 education students from UNO who are doing their field experience at New Orleans public schools, which hadn't happened historically or the past several years. So this plan would help us recruit 300 new teachers to the city each year. The last strategy is we have to continue to bring in experienced teachers into the city. And so I'm proud that it was really confusing this past, historically, post-storm, about how, if I'm coming out of district, how do I find the school for me? Like, where do I apply? What's going on here? And so we created Teach New Orleans. And this site is linked to the NOLA Public Schools website. And now it's so easy to find New Orleans Public Schools. We help share those resumes of those experienced teachers and bring them directly to our schools. And so we had over 50,000 unique visitors to the website in less than a year. We shared over 1,000 resumes, and we made over 115 hires with an average years of experience of 5. And so we need to double down and continue to do that this year. And when we're sourcing and when we're partnering with different folks to recruit them in, again, we're prioritizing teachers that look like the students that they serve and teachers that have local ties so that they'll stay here long term. And so to close, all this means is that these 3 strategies that we've built out is that there is an integrated plan to solve this gap of 900 teachers leaving each year. Schools still are tackling this challenge. They're still recruiting on their own and using word of mouth, and they are leading 1/3 of that recruitment, or 1/3 of finding that 900 gap. But also, if we're protecting our pipeline programs, if we're increasing teacher retention, and if we're going after experienced teachers, there is a plan with citywide support to help our schools do the great work that they can do. I thank you so much, and if there's any questions, I'd love to answer.
Hey, my friend, how much did this cost when you talk about these programs no longer being funded? What was the amount of money that they were receiving?
Yeah, so because some of these programs had to get started, there had to be additional money to get them off the ground. So it was an additional money. It's about $4 million a year through that federal grant. Talking with programs, most of them feel that they could cut costs and maybe roughly around $8,000 to $10,000 per teacher prepared, that they could survive and thrive on that and make sure that they're bringing teachers into the city.
The last thing I have, of the 900 that we're losing, how many of them are locally tied, and has there been conversations about why they're leaving?
Yeah, it's a great question. We have data on demographics, and what Ms. Aiken pointed out on Tuesday is that we don't see any, based on gender or based on race, people more likely to leave or less likely to leave. Everybody's leaving at the same rate. We don't have that data on whether they have local ties or not, and that'd be something good to look into.
Could you possibly, for the next meeting, or give us a financial picture of what the cost is across the board on all of these efforts?
Absolutely, and this is where, I mean, Ms. Hasiotis is like leading this charge, and have been partnering with her on getting that info from those teacher prep programs, and would be happy to share.
And as an administration, we will continue at our monthly meetings to continue to bring this information to the committee and the board. So this will be an ongoing piece, but definitely we can do that. Anyone else?
Just have one question, Mr. Jarrell. Can you just clarify, where's the funding coming from currently for the work that New Schools for New Orleans is doing, that has done on this strategy?
Through philanthropy.
Okay. And is your intent to continue to do that work?
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing that's going away is that federal grant that's protecting the teacher pipeline. But in terms of the Teach New Orleans, the experienced teacher recruitment, that's all through philanthropy, and we continue to raise for that.
Okay. And then lastly, what would be the best way, in your words, to describe the partnership that New Schools for New Orleans has with the district and how those roles complement each other? What's the district's role and what's y'all's role?
The district's role is tremendous. I've said this to Dr. Lewis before. This past year, there was no common vocabulary. There was no common goals. Nobody was like fully talking about what was happening across the city with our teachers. And once Dr. Lewis said this was a priority, it was astonishing how quickly things changed. And so one, to set that vision, to get everybody together so that we can implement this robust plan, it wouldn't have happened without that leadership. Second, sharing all of the data with us and trying to figure out, being inside schools and figuring out what would be best to support them and teachers has been tremendous.
Thank you. I mean, like I said on Tuesday, we appreciate the partnership. We're grateful and look forward to continuing to work with you.
Yes, Alex, I want to thank you for the presentation today, but also just the work that we continue to do in partnership, and also our other friends and members of NSNO, Nash Cruz in the back of the room, Dr. Jawan Alexander, Holly Reed, as well as, who did I miss? Oh, that's everybody, yes. So thank you all for being here tonight, but also thank you for your partnership. And Alex, thank you for leading on this effort here. As we can tell that even listening to what's happening at UNO is making a huge difference. So thank you so much. In closing, what I will say is that, you know, when you think of universities, he mentioned Xavier, he mentioned the University of New Orleans. My team and myself, I also reached out. We have many universities here, so I've reached out to Tulane University. I have a meeting scheduled with Loyola University. We met with Holy Cross College as well, because these colleges and universities that surround our school system in our community is very important that each of them understand what we're going through as a system and have them to know that they have to also be partners in this. And we've been having some very great conversations. And so I believe what was shared today is just really the beginning. And I think more things will come from our other colleges and universities to continue to support this problem that we are faced here in the city of New Orleans. And with that being said, Mr. President, that concludes my report for this evening.
Okay, thank you so much, Superintendent Lewis. Let me also just take an opportunity to thank each of our board members who visited schools, been going in schools, those that we recognize, and some of you who have been going in schools and we have not recognized. Thank you for making yourself a part of our students and our teachers, faculties, and staff. Let me also just also thank New Schools for New Orleans for the work that you're doing to help us to not only attract but to retain good and great teachers in our school. Without that, we cannot go forward. We cannot continue to advance without not only attracting them, but maintaining them and so on. And so I really appreciate your report. It's, as a former educator, vitally important that we do that. Not only great teachers, but great administrators as well, who many of which will become administrators from the teaching rank. So again, thank you, and continue to do the good work that you're doing. Thank you. Okay, moving on to our action items for tonight. I yield to Board Counsel.
Action item 4.1 is Resolution 17-19. It's recommended that the Orleans Parish School Board adopts Resolution 17-19, recognizing the week of October 14th through 18th, 2019 as National School Lunch Week in NOLA Public Schools.
So move with the waiving of the reading of the resolution.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any? None? Okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ashley? Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Ellison? Yes. Mr. Cleveland? Mr. Koppel?
Yes.
Mr. Marshall?
Yes.
Ms. Newell Houston?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Action item 4.2 is a cooperative endeavor agreement regarding NORD, NOLA Public Schools Collaborative League. It's recommended that the Accountability and Charters Committee recommends, actually, that the Orleans Parish School Board approves the cooperative endeavor agreement with the City of New Orleans to establish the NORD, NOLA Public Schools Collaborative League.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
There are no cards.
No cards.
And I would just like to acknowledge one that we do have as Board Member Ashley and Commissioner Ashley acknowledge that we have the CEO of NORD here, as well as the Chair of the Commission, Mr. Igana, and thank you for their partnership in establishing this sports league.
Okay. Will you please stand, be recognized, please? Let me just recognize Mr. Barabino, one of my former students at Phillips Junior High School quite some years ago. Thanks, man. Okay, I understand we'll be getting a picture with you at the end, so, okay. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, motion carries.
Action item 4.3 is an amendment to policy BCB, school board meeting procedures. The policy committee recommends that the Orleans Parish School Board approves the amendments to policy BCB, school board meeting procedures.
So moved. Second.
Did we get 2 seconds? Okay. We have a motion, and we'll pick one for the second, whoever. Okay.
There are no cards.
No cards? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, motion carries.
Action item 4.4, amendment to policy BCBI, public participation in school board meetings. The policy committee recommends that the Orleans Parish School Board approves the amendments to BCBI, public participation in school board meetings.
So moved.
I have a motion. We do have a second from Mr. Koppel.
There are no comment cards.
No cards, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, 4.4 passes.
Action item 4.5 is a one-year renewal of application service provider. The Budget and Finance Committee recommends that the Orleans Parish School Board grants permission to renew the contract for application service provider for Oracle 11i e-business suite with data intensity for an additional one-year period and authorize the General Counsel to prepare the contract for the signatures of the board president and the service provider. The contract period will be from July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020. The annual cost is $57,150. Funds are available for this fiscal year through June 30th, 2020, and renewals will be based on approval of future budgets.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
No cards.
No cards. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? Hearing none, 4.5 passes.
Action item 4.6, Fifth Amendment to third-party contractors. The Budget and Finance Committee recommends that the Orleans Parish School Board approves the Fifth Amendment to contract for Title I education services for eligible students in non-public schools for the 2019-2020 fiscal year from Catapult Learning LLC, Sylvan Learning, and authorize the General Counsel to prepare the contracts amendments for signature of the consultants and the board president. The total amount of these services is $1,706,413.63 with funds available in the Title I Purchased Educational Services account.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
No cards.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, 4.6 passes.
Action item 4.7, Fifth Amendment to third-party contracts to provide Title II supplemental educational services. The Budget and Finance Committee recommends that the Orleans Parish School Board approves the Fifth Amendment to contracts for Title II supplemental educational services for eligible students in non-public schools for the 2019-2020 fiscal year from Catapult Learning LLC and LearnIt, and authorize General Counsel to prepare the contracts amendments for signatures of the consultants and the board president. The total amount for these services is not to exceed $186,534.57, with funds available in the Title II Purchased Educational Services account.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. We do have a second.
No cards.
Oh, no cards? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition to this? Hearing none, 4.7 passes.
Action item 4.8, Resolution 15-19. The Budget and Finance Committee recommend that the Orleans Parish School Board adopts Resolution 15-19, authorizing the First Amendment to the Capital Projects Budget of Revenues and Expenditures for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2019 and ending June 30th, 2020.
So moved.
Second with the waive.
Waiving the reading of the resolution.
We have
Thank
a-
you.
We have a motion, waiving reading, and
Second.
we do have a second.
No cards on this.
No cards on this. I think this requires a roll call.
Mr. Ashley?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Ellison?
Yes.
Mr. Cleben? Mr. Koppel?
Yes.
Mr. Marshall?
Yes.
Ms. Newell Houston?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Action item 4.9, adoption of the NOLA Public Schools Facility Plan. The Property Committee recommends that the Orleans Parish School Board approve the NOLA Public Schools Facility Plan as a blueprint for the ongoing management of district-owned property.
So moved.
Okay, the motion
Second.
and a second.
And we have one comment card from Pastor Brenda Square.
Okay.
Good evening. Good evening.
Pastor Square.
It's been a while since I've been here. It's
That's-
good to
it
be
has been a while.
back.
It has been a while.
Yes, yes, and I'm excited because this is an important moment in the history of our public schools. And I didn't want it to pass without reminding you about the sacred history and the importance of these buildings that you will be voting on the future of tonight. But I'm here in particular about the Valina C. Jones School site. So I made copies of information that I hope you all will reflect on and consider. And I'd like to share with you this statement. To Dr. Henderson Lewis and members of the Orleans Parish School Board. I write and I'm here in support of the transfer of the Valina C. Jones School site to Rooted Charter School. This request is on behalf of Valina C. Jones School and Community Partnerships. For many years, my associates and I have struggled to keep the dreams of Reverend Alfred Lawless, Fannie C. Williams, Reverend E.H. Phillips, and many devoted 7th Ward community leaders alive following the 2005 closing of Jones School. As part of that effort, in 2015, we sought to have the Orleans Parish School Board introduce Resolution 2345. That resolution was based on the donation of the land by the 7th Ward Educational League and the state's recognition of Jones School as a historic community and civil rights site. I have attached a copy of that resolution that was passed by this board. In addition to our church and community advocates, the 7th Ward Neighborhood Association supports the reopening of the Jones School as a school for neighborhood children. The Plessy and Ferguson Foundation has already sent a letter because they see the vision, and a copy of that letter is also attached. Why are we pushing this effort? Jones School was a center of academic excellence, training many influential teachers, principals, and professionals in the Jim Crow era. Jones School is also a sacred legacy, a gift to neighborhood children. In the words of the former principal, Fannie C. Williams, in her 1939 principal's message, she said, for more than a quarter of a century ago, a group of pioneers planned an adventure for the growth and development of childhood and adult life in this community. The leaders dreamed of the day when a modern school building would serve as a guidepost for child welfare and service. These pioneers gave the best that they had to the movement. Christian faith, fellowship, and the love for children guided them in purchasing land, securing a temporary building, and initiating a free public school program. Many conscientious Christian men and women have worked in this community since that time. Each brought some special vision, talent, or desire for furthering the program. Many of you may be aware or may not know that the Valina C. Jones site was the site of the Normal Training School, which trained many of our earliest African-American teachers. There was a site at McDonough 35, and the other one was at Jones School. So that means that some of our earliest African-American teachers were trained in that space. On yesterday, the Rooted School leaders and Jones School community partners met with the architects, and we look forward to working with the board to complete the final restoration and opening and reopening of Jones School site as a school. I pray you will find it in your hearts to transfer the school to Rooted School, which is one of the most promising schools in this city and state.
Thank
so
you.
I stand on behalf of our community and pray that you will move forward in preserving our sacred legacy.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's it. Okay.
No, Tiffany, can you?
Yeah,
Ms.
just to
Delcroix.
clarify tonight's action. If the board approves the NOLA Public Schools Facility Plan, it's an approval of this plan as a general framework for the ongoing management of district-owned property. The action to declare additional properties as surplus or approve the sale of any district-owned property are separate actions that are not being presented during this evening's board meeting or the action that you're currently voting on.
Okay. Do we have any questions from board members? No. None? Okay. We do have a motion and a second on that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, 4.9 passes.
And that concludes the action items.
Okay. We have any
Move to adjourn.
further?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you and good night. Thank you all.